Yo, what's poppin' guys? This is Tristan and today I'm going to be counting down my top 15 favorite manga series that I've read as of December 2017, and this is going to be a really long video, so let's just jump into it. Number 15 is none other than Happiness. Happiness is definitely my favorite new series. I've been reading it as the chapters have been coming out, as well as when the volumes have been coming out, so I've essentially been rereading the content of the series twice. Unfortunately though, there's really only 6 volumes out at the moment, and all of the volumes you could read super fast, but nonetheless, this series is really good. It's by the creator of Flowers of Evil and Inside Mari. If you read those, you'll probably like this. It's about vampires and stuff, and it really does the horror genre justice. Next up at number 14 is Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is a series with highs and lows. Some points it's kind of not that great, sometimes it's really good. But the really good parts are definitely worth checking out the series. But yeah, I mean, if you like spooky stuff, I recommend checking out Tokyo Ghoul because it's a pretty good read. It's not necessarily a horror series, but it's somewhere along those lines. Coming in at my 13th favorite series of all time is Bleach. If you haven't read the first 21 volumes of Bleach, I would definitely recommend doing that right now because the Soul Society arc is one of the greatest manga arcs I have read in my life, and it has some really sick-ass fights and all that stuff. It's definitely worth the read. Unfortunately though, after the Soul Society arc, Bleach really takes a dip in quality with the Arrancar arc, and even though that arc is still entertaining to read, it's definitely nowhere near the quality as the Soul Society arc. But yeah, I mean, if you're hesitant to read Bleach, I'd recommend checking out the first 21 volumes because it's something you don't want to miss out on. Coming in at 12th place is The Flowers of Evil. It's definitely not for everyone, so if you're not really into super dark manga, then I'd recommend not touching the series with a 10-foot pole because boy oh boy, this series is probably one of the best of things I've ever read. With that being said though, if you want to read some psychological manga, you know what to read. My 11th favorite series of all time is Death Note. Death Note is the first manga series I ever read. I read it back in like 2013 or 2014, something like that. I pretty much remember every detail of the series because it's so damn memorable. I'm pretty sure everyone has read Death Note by now, so I don't really think I need to talk about it too much, but if for some reason you haven't, you really have no excuses by now because we got that box set. We have some 2-in-1s and, you know, an all-in-one edition, so you can buy the series for a very little amount of money. Number 10. Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is a series about Vikings, and I can't really say too much about it just because I've only read 4 of these big volumes, and, you know, the first 2 volumes were decent, the third was pretty good, but the fourth one, man, the fourth one was incredible, and from what I hear, the next few volumes are even better. Number 9. Parasite. Parasite is a series about these parasitic aliens that come down to Earth, go inside people's ears, take over their body, and that's pretty much the main premise of it. If you want to read pretty much the perfect manga without spending a ton of money on it, then I'd recommend checking out Parasite. I'm a big fan of shonen battle manga done right. You know, a lot of people hate on that genre. I'm a big fan of that demographic when it's actually done right. And number 8 is no exception. It's done really well, for the most part at least, and it's one of the greatest underdog stories ever made. We got Naruto. The final arc in the series was a bit convoluted, and it definitely was dragged out, but for the most part, volumes 1 through 48 contain some of the greatest shonen manga ever made. If you're just getting into manga, I definitely recommend picking up the box sets. If you've been a manga fan for quite some time and you haven't read Naruto, I recommend checking it out because it's definitely a classic. Coming in at 7th place, Bakuman. Bakuman is essentially about these 2 guys, one is an artist, one is a writer, and they want to be successful in the manga industry. Not only is this series very entertaining, not only is it a very different series than what I usually read, but it's also an extremely interesting insights on the manga industry. So if you've ever been sitting around reading some manga and you're just like, you know, I wish there was a manga series that sort of showed me how this manga was made, I wish I sort of knew the editorial process, all that stuff, you gotta read Bakuman, you know, you gotta read it. Number 6 is a series that I don't physically own, but that is A Silent Voice. Silent Voice basically follows this girl named Nishimiya who gets bullied a lot by this guy named Ishida when they're kids, and years later they meet back up. You know, Ishida has changed, he's now a pretty nice guy, and that's kind of how the story starts off. It's one of the most heartfelt series I've ever read, and you'll definitely be catching those feels through various points throughout the series. Kicking off the top 5 is Neon Genesis Evangelion. During the first 2 omnibus volumes, it was a very cool mech series, but the last 3 omnibus volumes turned into one of the most psychological and one of the most greatest and impactful series I have ever read in my life. Number 4. Magi. I finally read Magi volumes 1 through 8 recently, and you know where it's at, you know. The first 2 volumes will hook you right away, and then volume 3 will just drag you in fully, and you'll be completely immersed in this world, because this is one of the greatest worlds I have ever seen in a manga series. Also, it has some really lovable characters, it has some great comedy, it has some really interesting stuff about politics, and come on now, of course it has some sick-ass fights. A series probably wouldn't be this high on my list without sick-ass fights. I always love sick-ass fights in a manga series. Number 3, we got the box set back there, you know what it is, Fullmetal Alchemist. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard by now how good Fullmetal Alchemist is, and if you haven't, I'll kinda just echo what everyone else is saying. It's really damn good. The villains are some of the best villains I've seen in a manga, the side characters are some of the greatest side characters I have seen in a manga series, and so on and so forth. When the series starts off, it seems like it's just gonna be a decent shonen series, but by the end, it solidifies itself as one of the greatest manga ever made, period. Number 2, we got Hunter x Hunter. The fights in the series are always really clever, and it's always about strategy. The powers are always super interesting, and they always seem really well deserved. A big motto in Hunter x Hunter is if you want something, you have to work for it, and that's definitely true. You always see Gon and Killua training. There have been at least 3 training segments throughout the series, and the characters always have to work hard to get stronger. Pretty much every time I recommend the series to someone and they read it, they always end up loving it, so I mean, come on now, you just gotta read the Hunter x Hunter greatness. Number 1, I don't even really see a point of building this up because everyone already knows what it is now. One Piece. I mean, what else could it be? This series has amazing comedy that will always have you laughing your ass off every single volume. It has some amazing action. It has, of course, a great world. And the side characters are always really cool, especially the stuff with the supernovas. It's always really dope to see them reappear. And, I mean, if you haven't read One Piece already, I mean, you gotta read it. It's a classic. I know it's not for everyone, but I think you should at least give it a chance. But yeah, I mean, I love One Piece, and it's definitely a really fun series to read. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I put a lot of effort into making this video, and if you're new to this channel and you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and leave a comment letting me know what your top favorite manga list is. So that's it, guys, and I will see you in the next video.